Well, hello there, everybody. It's me. I'm here. You're here. We're here. Oh my goodness, Mina. I said all done. Treats all done. She gets like so many treats, which I factor into her diet. But oh, hold on, I gotta reset this. But she has like tartar on her teeth, which reminds me that I did not brush my teeth earlier. Rip, ribbon pieces, me. I'm sure it's fine. But the treats that she has are like basically she has gingivitis. So instead of torturing her by brushing her teeth, we are giving her these special treats and we're going to be adding something to her water to help with the plaque. It's like the tartar and the plaque, two different problems apparently that you have to. So many interesting creative veterinary solutions to problems that I didn't even know existed. I guess I like cat gingivitis must exist, but I don't think I've ever had a cat who had it. So all kinds of fun. Okay, what are we doing here? So I think today we'll do cat reveal. So if you haven't already seen her on Patreon, we will do cat reveal today. If we reach, what should the goal be? Are you in the trash can right now? You know when you hear a noise and then it's silent and you're like, it's your kid or your cat or your dog. You're like, who's getting in trouble in there? Oh, yeah, she's feeling feisty today. So showing her off might be a little bit difficult. Or maybe we need to give her a little bit of time to calm down. So we're going to set the goal a little bit higher than usual. If we can get to $250 in today's stream goal, we will meet the kitty cat. She's been on Patreon. It's only $1 on Patreon, so it's comparatively a much easier deal over there. What in the world? So anyway, yeah, she's all over the place today. I'm coming to you live from my brand new cross-legged chair. I have one of those now. It's like an office chair, but it has an extra little platform for your legs to go on so that I can sit cross-legged without hurting my legs and my hips. It's still not the best position for my hips, but in particular it like helps me not fuck up my lower back, or at least not make my lower back worse. And it's so fun. You can sit in all kinds of ways. Like I'm sitting cross-legged right now, but I could swing one of my legs out to the side and be sitting like, when ladies sit on a horse with both of their legs on one side. So I'm kind of doing one of those right now. Can like flip that over to the other side, get one of those going. Ooh, that's comfy. Put both of my feet underneath me and have my legs kind of resting on the platform. Also, it's kind of just convenient to put your feet on the spokes of the chair if you're putting your feet underneath you. So yeah, I am coming to you from the bisexual chair. It's just a black chair. So it's like nothing special that you can actually see. Happy birthday to me. It wasn't really intended to be a birthday present for myself. It just is it wasn't like hugely expensive. That's the thing. I've wanted one of these chairs for so many years, and I just had to wait for the idea to be common enough for there to be a kind of shitty version that you can get on Amazon. So I got like a chair that probably is kind of shitty, but it allows me to sit comfortably. And so I'm psyched for that. I'm going to be hopefully alternating between this and standing, because I have a motorized desk, and that's the point. The point is that I'm supposed to be able to flip-flop back and forth. So yeah. Where is my website, chat? Where did you go? Hello. Extra wide seat. I wouldn't say it has an extra wide seat. Yeah, I mean, it basically just is big enough to be underneath my butt. Although I guess I could scooch forward and it's like there's more space in the front. But if you want your back to be all the way up against the lumbar support, which you do, then yeah, there's a lot of space in front of me on the platform, but not a huge amount of space on the sides as I'm sitting cross-legged. Sitting cross-legged fucks up my hips, so I do it all day long, of course. Yes, exactly, Mabs. Yeah, it's just like, how can this be the position that feels like it will be the most comfortable, and then it also just destroys your lower back and hips? Why? But yeah, so the one of the big problems, if you're like me, a person who cannot sit normally, hit the like button if you cannot sit normally. Basically, like, your hips, you're asking your hips to rotate out like this when you're sitting cross-legged, especially if your knees are at the same height as or higher than your hips. So that's one of the big reasons is it, and that causes your back, your lower back, to go into flexion because it pulls your hips into a posterior tilt. Hi, Miss Lady. Did you get brushed? Are you looking so pretty? She's just being a fucking maniac. Lux wide gif. Yeah, true. Drink water if you cannot sit normally. So true, bestie. OMG. How are you, Emma? Hello, Merlin. Hello, Evan. I'm a little bit late. Hello, Dank Cat Lord, who reminds me that Cobot exists. I hardly ever use it, but support the channel, luxandra.net/donate. That's the best way to support the channel. I think I'm hurting the stream by putting birthday week in the title. We don't have as many viewers here. Let me just take it out and see what happens. Boom. Let's see what that does. Okay. Come back. Everything that I need. I has donut. Ooh, donut. You know what? I did not eat this morning. I started to get a little bit hungry about 15 minutes before stream, and then I was in the middle of doing something, and so I forgot. Oh my god, what are you doing? Okay, I might have to stop this troublemaker. She might be doing destructive things. What do you have? Okay, give me 1 second. I'm just gonna, real quick, my terrorist is doing terrorism. I'll be right back. Hold on. Okay, sorry. Terrorist. I don't know what exactly she was doing, but I think some of it involved a rubber band, so I'm glad that I investigated before she decided to eat a rubber band. She's still doing something over there, but it's fine. Yeah, donuts are great. We love donuts. 2 weeks on my countdown for Operation Talks. Congratulations. Getting a lower spine defect. Oh, that's 2 different people. Sorry. Separately. Hi, Dizzy. My lower spine has a defect ×2 plus scoliosis, and I sit cross-legged in bed most of the day. Yeah. Listen, I've learned that you can't necessarily stop yourself from being the thing that you are, but you can accommodate it, right? I feel like it's hard to strike the balance, but there is a middle ground. There's an area between I need to change everything about myself and become a totally different person overnight versus I need to accommodate everything and not do any personal growth. It's just about figuring out which of those things actually needs to be corrected or which things you can accommodate for without really sacrificing anything. I feel like if you can accommodate for something without sacrificing anything, then accommodation is like the easier thing to do. rather than like trying to change something about how you function. Like, you know, if you want to get into certain hobbies, it might require you to become a person who can be functional at 5 o'clock in the morning. And if you cannot be functional at 5 o'clock, like, so, you know, it's like you have to maybe make a hard choice there of like, are you capable of really doing the hobby that requires you to wake up? Like, you know, if you want to go fishing early in the morning, for example, you know, could you get the same quality of fishing at the sunset time, you know, or are you going to have to really put as much effort as you possibly can into becoming a person who can wake up before the sun rises? Or maybe you accommodate it by like, oh, I'm not going to go fishing until the time of the year where the sun rises a lot later, but that might be limiting because maybe it's too cold for the fish. I've put, you know, you can tell that I put a ridiculous amount of thought into things sometimes. Ooh, I got some kombucha today. I haven't made my own kombucha in a while. I don't even know if it's still any good because I got it to the point of making a second fermentation and then just kind of like never bottled it. Or, yeah, so I did the first fermentation. So I have a giant jar full of kombucha and of SCOBY. Good fucking gracious, dude. Okay. I think I might have to fix something that she just did again. Jesus Christ. Okay. She is just being a wild child today. Happy birthday, assumedly. Yeah, it's my birthday week. It's on one of the days this week. And as far as you guys are concerned, it's Wednesday because Wednesday is going to be the celebratory stream day. And as far as the line is concerned, it's going to be Thursday. So I am functional at 5 a.m. My sleep schedule is reversed. Oh boy. I know there's not really very many greens in the website chat today. Not very many subscriptions, active subscribers. This is like the many different ways that you can support the channel. One of those things, like we have YouTube memberships, which I need to update the settings on that to give you guys some more benefits because I don't really post on YouTube the memberships exclusive thing very often, so there's not a huge incentive. So I need to add some like chat benefits for you guys. But at the very least, you get the fun colored name. And also on my website, which is this one, luxandra.net/live. This one, if you want to pitch in $5, you can get a green name or more. And you can also, for free, set your pronouns. So like if I hover over Mabs, Mabs has she, her pronouns. Because I can just hover over it. Yeah. Hell yeah, just planted some greens in my garden yesterday. Listen, farmer's market season has begun. There's not like enough produce out there yet for me to be like, I'm going to be switching primarily to buying all of my groceries. I don't know, maybe I really need to take a look at seasonality and be prepared to use some new ingredients that I've never used before. Like I've never used turnips, but turnips are a plant that you can overwinter. So there's a lot of turnips right now, and there's like an amount of carrots, but I have carrots in the house all the time anyway, so the selector won't let me change my pronouns to conservative/patriot. Ooh. Yeah, I am so sorry. Those are nouns. Okay. I'm like, it's my first stream with the new chair, so I'm kind of like, I'm learning, I guess, how much of my fidgeting is because I'm restless versus how much is it that I just sit in uncomfortable ways and then I need to adjust constantly. Like, can I sit here in this chair cross-legged for hours and hours and hours? And so the only problem with me sitting cross-legged before was that it like hurts my body. Like, I don't, or am I going to be restless even if that's still a relatively comfortable position? I don't know. We will find out. There's still snow out. We just got hit with like 28 inches of snow last week. Ooh. Yeah, we have not had any snow in the valley. Um, yeah. I do kind of miss it a little bit, although like not having snow is one of the main reasons why I moved to the PNW. I don't like extremes at different times of the year. Hello.
Oh, yeah.
Hi. Nathan with the $5 super chat. Feliz cumpleaños. Don't pronounce the N or the D in my name. I wish I could give you a world that wasn't run by wackadoodles. Ta-ta for now. Off to RPG session. Thank you for the super chat. I'll add that to the total for today and have fun at your TTRPG. I've still only like back in the day Izzy DM'd a one-shot for us in my old Discord server, and then I played a Stardew Valley-based D&D campaign, but I was only there for like 2 or 3 sessions before I was like, y'all want to do this too late at night. I was, gaming with a bunch of 20-year-olds, so it wasn't like, oh, we're starting early in the day on a Saturday and we have time. Nope. It was starting at like 7 or 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. I was like, I can't fucking deal with this. Cat. Reveal. I don't know if we're going to get there today. That's okay, though. Also, if anybody is interested, maybe I'll go ahead and just put this on the screen so that it is somewhat unintrusive. Because it is my birthday week, and I do want to give everybody an opportunity to contribute to that if you want to. So let me just change this. I'll have to change it back later to birthday wishlist throne.com/Luxander. Or maybe just birthday or just wish list. Maybe just wish list. Wishlist throne.com/Luxander. Make it visible. Where's it at? Oh, it's up there. Oh, come on. Where can I put it? I'll put it over here. There we go. Yeah. I don't know why it has the background on it, but we will leave it for now. Cool. And there's chat. Hello, chat. Snow is the worst? Yeah, I don't like being that cold. Don't like being that cold. Okay, sorry about that, YouTube chat. I have cleaned up the mess. Apologies. So what's been going on the past week or so? Or did I see you guys on Wednesday? I think I saw you guys on Wednesday. Maybe that's why I feel like, boy, do I have anything new to talk about? I have honestly, even though I set up my RSS reader, it is kind of like work. So I haven't been checking it as much. So I am truly, for maybe one of the first times in a while, I'm truly out of the loop as to what new things have happened over the last few days. Because I have about like 4 or 5 days of unread. I think this is about 4 days, yeah, of unread RSS feed news stuff. So that's cool. Not your fault people want your attention. That's true. The thing I like about your streams is that I can be productive, rest, and casual. Works for whatever I'm feeling. Hell yeah. I mean, I was thinking recently about, yeah, what if I did like a dedicated news section on the show sometimes, right? Like I have some posts from Aaron in the morning that I saved that I was like, oh, we should talk about this on the stream, right? The Idaho House passed a trans bathroom ban that would include a 5-year prison sentence and call it a felony after the second offense, or even if you were convicted of a bathroom related offense in another state, the first time you do it in Idaho, it's a felony with 5-year prison on it, which is crazy. But I'm like, I don't know that I have anything to say about that anymore. Like, yeah, that's bad. And I just don't feel particularly like, I don't know how to describe how I'm feeling without being like politically irresponsible. Like I think that like engaging with the system as best you can is the thing that everybody should be doing, right? And right now, my engagement with the system is like I'm going to re-register to vote because primary seasons are coming up and I want to be able to vote in Democratic primaries. You know? Like that's where my level of engagement is right this moment. Yeah. And I think maybe for me, I always think that we need people from all different sides doing all kinds of different things, right? Like, people who are showing up to protests are doing something important, and people who are sharing the news on social media are doing something important. Are you my angel? Are you the sweetest little baby who's ever existed? Yeah, that's you. You're the sweetest little baby who's ever existed. Isn't it? I booped the snoot. And of course you guys know my whole thing is like I think in a longer term sense about what's going to be happening in the future. So as far as me and what I can do and my personal goals, I feel like maybe my skills are better applied with something that's more real and more practical and more like a little bit closer to home. So I'm thinking like, okay, future proofing against climate change is honestly a bigger concern to me personally than the laws that are passing right now. Because I think a lot of these laws that are passing right now are not going to matter as much in the long term. And there are a lot of people working on this area right now. So I don't even know that I'm providing anything that people can't get anywhere else. And that's always been a thing for me. When I'm making commentary, I want to make commentary that is insightful and specific and that I think builds on the conversation and doesn't just kind of echo the sentiments of oh, bad thing happened. And it's like I'm not raising awareness about the thing. I always feel that I'm speaking from the strongest place when I'm not just saying, hey, I'm updating you that this thing is happening, but rather when I can say this thing is happening and here is some insight, or here's a greater context, or here's how we can build on this idea somehow. So that's just me playing a halfling thief named Fucker Pants right now. Okay, that's fun. That seems a lot of fun. Kansas is scary right now. We are registered to vote, but I've yet to find a way to keep up with the local stuff efficiently. Yeah, and honestly, a blessing, a privilege. I live in Oregon where anytime there is a vote that you can vote on, they send you a ballot in the mail. So I don't ever have to guess. Like if I check the mail regularly, then I'm going to get my ballot. And then I can vote and just send it back through the post and getting just like it's so fucking efficient. And I don't have to, I can take the time at home and be like, let me look up what each of these laws is and like what are the actual ramifications. Yeah, I honestly need a break from the news sometimes, especially if there isn't really anything new that I don't already know. Truly, right? Like you guys probably are keeping up with trans news elsewhere. You're probably following Erin in the Morning on one of her platforms, or there are a ton of trans content creators on every social media platform, all talking about these issues at the same time when they happen. So, like, do you really need me to tell you about the news? And the less that I just feel like, what do you say at this point? Yeah. I am deeply upset by the fact that a bathroom ban is passing with a major prison sentence attached to it, or it's in the process. I don't know if it's like truly going to be passing and writing into law, or maybe it already got written into law and I just missed that at the end of last week. Let me double check. Let me look at Erin in the Morning's Substack feed. Yeah, no, we haven't gotten any updates on that one. It's the weekend. Maybe that's probably part of it. So maybe this week we'll get an update. I don't know, but the whole Idaho passing a law, I'm like, okay, that's cool. Um, I don't have like, oh, it's bad, right? And what do we do? What's our actionable next step? What like how can I break this down or provide something of value that isn't just like, boy howdy, things are scary right now, and maybe this law will get struck down and they'll challenge it in the court. The ACLU will challenge it in the courts and it'll work its way up to the Supreme Court, and then who the fuck knows what'll happen. Like, how many times am I going to go over that same basic, here's what's happening now and here's the next steps, and shrug, we don't know what's going to happen at the Supreme Court level because I feel like the Supreme Court is pretty unpredictable. So yeah, just this is why I'm getting away from doing this, but it does mean that I like, as far as stream content goes, I don't know what else do we talk about. If I'm mostly just working on getting my schedule together and like hitting the beats every day and trying to figure out, how I want to operate on the daily and doing research on like some of my personal projects and all this kind of stuff, like how do I relay anything of interest to you if what I'm doing is reading an RSS feed and, chilling. I can tell you about my cat and what a creep she's been. Are you a creep? You're not supposed to get fed until 3. So we've got like an hour and a half before you should really start to get annoyed. But it's so weird. She likes to be in my partner's lap more than she likes to be in my lap. And honestly, I might have kind of ruined that for myself because I have this weird chair now and it's not really a chair that's conducive to having a cat in your lap. I don't know. I feel like she's small enough that she could fit on the top part depending on what position I'm in. But I did kind of fuck that for myself a little bit. So that's my bad. But I could like kick the foot part slides away and toward. So it's on a rail like this and it slides back and forth like that. So I could hypothetically kick it out and have my legs resting on just like the back edge of it and have the open front edge that has space for her. But so far she is skeptical of my chair. She doesn't like it. But she does like hanging out in here and being on the floor. So it's like she likes being in my partner's lap more than she does mine. But she'll also choose to be on the floor in here rather than hanging out with him, whether that's on the floor or in his lap. Like, it's just very strange. I don't know what your deal is, you strange little creature. If you watch on it, actually the most on-screen appearances that she's made so far have been for Jimmy Snow and the Line, where she'll be on top of that. That's why there's no treasure chest over there right now, is because it's cat platform time if she wants to go be over there. But the idea for the goal today for the stream, if we can get to 250 dollarinos, I will pick her up and risk her wrath by showing her off to the camera and letting you see how beautiful and fluffy she is in real time. And maybe you'll get to hear her tiny little meows, her tiny little voice. Also, it's my birthday week, so that's why the amount is so high, because it's my birthday. What have you guys, the last couple of birthdays that you guys have had, does she not like being held? She is very tolerant. Like, we're very lucky she's very tolerant, but she does clearly not like it. So it's possible that like picking her up and showing her off will at the very least make her run out of my office and not want to be in here. But she doesn't hold long grudges. She's never attacked either of our faces, although she is very spicy. But she doesn't get spicy when you're picking her up or manhandling her or whatever. She pretty much only gets spicy if she's on the floor. So, or like on a surface, I guess. Don't hold the kitty like Vosh awkwardly does. I don't know how Vosh holds his cats, but I try to be respectful of my cats and hold them in ways that are supportive. Goodbye, bloody fluffy bunny. Is it a new kitty? Yeah. So yeah, my cat passed away in December. We previously had 3 cats, and we just like they died gradually over the course of like 5 years. So Mitternacht passed away in December, and then we had no cats in the house at all, which was stressing me out. So we went and got a cat in February, and it's been about a month now since we got Mina. Mina is her name. I've had pictures of her on Patreon already for like the $1 tier, and I will continue to post pictures on her of her on Patreon for the $1 tier, and possibly videos of her playing on the $3 tier, perhaps. But yeah, so the outrageous goal for today's stream is to be able to show her off to stream for the first time, because I haven't done that yet. The only camera appearances she's made have been when she jumps up there by happenstance. Yeah. Jason, I'm gonna say big guy, even though I don't think that's accurate. But Jason with the 10 Australian says happy birthday. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Super chats are a little bit weird on the YouTube end, but they still end up in my pocket eventually. So thank you very much for that cat reveal. Should put new cat reveal. I definitely wanted to give her a little bit of time to like adjust before I started picking her up and showing her and like putting her this big fucking light in her face and everything. So the only time that I've picked her up and held her and showed her to the camera was when we were recording the podcast, which my camera doesn't get used. Like we have it on while we're talking to each other, but our faces are not part of the podcast at this point. So yeah, Gayfesh and Demon Mama got to see my new kitty. My grumpy kitty will often poke me with her paws until I lean back on the couch or bed so that she can sit on my chest. That is adorable. I read a study that was like having pets like reduces stress and potentially raises your lifespan. So, yeah. And I'm home alone all the time, right? I guess less so now that my younger sibling is not in school, but that, you know, when my younger sibling is out doing stuff and I'm just home, it's weird to not have a little guy around to talk to. And so I have somebody to talk to all day now. She greets me in the morning. Very soon she's finally going to be allowed in the bed at night. So we had to treat her for fucking tapeworms. And we just put the flea treatment on her yesterday. So it's like when the flea treatment is no longer like actively in her fur, then we're going to see if she's a good companion in the nighttime. But as it is, I wake up in the morning and she probably is listening. It's not every day that she's waiting at the door, but a decent number of days she is. So she can like hear me getting up and ready. And she just like is there. I open the door and I'm like, it's Mina. And she's like, eh. That's you. That's what you sound like. Happy birthday. Can't really hang out, but I hope you have a good one. Thank you very much. Yes, my official birthday stream is Wednesday, but we're starting it a little early, you know. And then I'm taking off next weekend, so you won't see me next weekend. I'm also taking off of producing for the Sunday show After Dark next weekend, which I'm excited about. Get to like truly take a couple days to rest. Any other trans masks here get knee fur? I decided to shave mine. I feel like shaving the knees is so difficult. But yeah, the one time I really just kind of let loose and let my leg hair grow out, it ended up being like almost 2 inches long. It was truly fucking insane. Oof, worms. Yeah. So she was treated for roundworms at the shelter that we got her at. But then we got her, and the worms just kept happening, and I finally took her to our vet, and they were like, they saw one on her while she was there, and they was like, oh, this is actually a tapeworm. So the medicine that they gave her before did nothing, but then she seems to have responded pretty much immediately to the tapeworm medicine. So we no longer have little weird pieces of shredded cheese to clean up. Awful. Evan says one of my old roommates had and still has 2 cats. And while we were still roommates, her girl cat would run down the hallway when she heard my alarm and yowl at my door until I came out. Yeah. She definitely does meow sometimes. She has meowing episodes, but I basically don't respond. Like if I'm in the bedroom and I've closed the door and she's yowling or meowing outside the room, I don't really respond. I might be like, if I've just shut the door, I might be like, hey, knock it off. But mostly I try not to reward that behavior by responding in any way. Because I'm like, I don't want you to learn that if you yowl, I will come get you, and that's the way to get attention. That's not what we're trying to... That's not the norm that I want to establish. I can never shave my knees or elbow for some reason. Yeah. I've been using Nair, as bad as that is for you. I have long legs, so it saves me a lot of time. I don't know anything about Nair, so I can't tell you whether it's good or not. So, I bet it does save a lot of time, though. The aforementioned girl kitty essentially served as my second alarm, so it worked out. Yeah, I was kind of wondering, because like my partner wakes up at like 6:30 because he has to get up and like drive to work and everything, and I don't usually get out of bed until later. I'm kind of trying to decide, okay, I think I need to accept something about myself, and it's really sad, but I think that I just need 9 hours of sleep in order to feel normal. I still have to do the sleep study. So maybe if I'm getting disrupted sleep right now, I'll feel differently when I get that addressed. I don't know. We'll figure it out when we get the chance to do that. But I just might be a person who needs a little bit more sleep than other people. So I often am like not getting up until 8:30 or 9, depending on when we went to bed. So I'm trying to figure out, like, should I go to bed earlier or accept that I'm waking up a little bit later, you know? But regardless, if at the present my partner wakes up at like 6:30 and he feeds the cat at some point in that time, and like right now I don't wake up and like leave the room until 9, and then she usually comes and greets me and is like, hey, what's up, how's it going? And I don't think it's because she's expecting me to feed her, because by now I think she gets it. Like, I feed her later in the day, but not in the morning. And I'm curious if she's going to come back and cuddle after my partner leaves in the morning, or if she is going to come yell at me because I'm not awake. Like, am I about to have that second alarm kind of reinforcement? I'm not sure, but I'm excited to find out if she's a good bed companion. Because she's very fuzzy, and I would like to be able to sleep with her. It feels weird to be in this space 6 years on. Like, good to be here, but just 6 years since lockdown started to feel weird. Oh, since lockdown started feels weird. Here in this community? What do you mean? What do you mean feel weird? I took a sleep study a couple weeks ago. How did that go? I need to call them and figure out what to do, because the fucking device that they sent me to monitor my sleep is not compatible with my phone. So, but I'm thinking about just maybe getting a new phone, like possibly a work phone. Oh no. Going from waking up at 2 p.m. and then having to switch to 5 a.m. Oh, that's going to be rough. That's going to be tough. It's tough needing more than 8 hours of sleep. I feel like, yeah, I'm like, because it has to come out of, it has to come out of recreation time, I think is what I think is the fear of feeling like, oh, I should sleep for like 9 hours. Because I'm like, that's going to cut into my time playing video games and recreation. Because like, I'm only going to be working more. I don't know if you guys heard that Jimmy has kind of soft announced a bunch of new shows on the line. Um, I don't want to share too many specifics at this point, but basically, it seems like I'm going to be working at least one more day of the week on Jimmy Snow stuff. And then that doesn't even count that, like, I will still sometimes have Cause I Wannas that I'll need to cover. And yeah, so we're adding new stuff to the schedule, and I'm probably going to have to participate at LionCon more often and, like, you know, raise awareness for it and shit like that. So it's basically like I'm only going to be working more for the line. And then Arden is going to be out over the summer for a period of a few weeks. So I'm going to be, I don't know if we're going to throttle back on any of the content or if, like, I'm just going to have to work a shit ton more over that holiday that she's going to be on. Yeah. And then if I start school later this year, it's going to be a brutal amount of school. So like I'm only going to be working more and more throughout this year. Hopefully. That's like hopefully. That's what I want. It just might mean that I need to cut back on streaming. Like if I end up working on Saturdays every Saturday, and I know that I'm going to be working every Saturday, meaning that Friday is the only day off that I have every week, and even that day I will not get off sometimes because of Cause I Wannas, then I'm probably going to have to drop the Wednesday stream and do like a longer Sunday stream. I don't know how much longer, but that's kind of a change that I foresee happening where, and Wednesday might not even be a day off. Like that might be like a produce videos day because I need to produce videos more often than I do right now. What is happening? Who is talking to me? Oh, okay. That has nothing to do with me right now. That's got nothing to do with me. I think you and Jimmy make a great team. We have a lot of fun. I think something that I'm learning from Jimmy is that maybe I need to have a little bit more fun with it and maybe not take every call so seriously, but maybe that's part of what makes it possible for Jimmy, because I don't know, but sometimes he will like start trolling on somebody when I'm still trying to have a real conversation, and maybe I just need to get more comfortable trolling on people instead of because I think I've seen some people make that critique of me. It's like, you stayed patient with this person way longer than I would have. It's like, do I just need to start clowning on people? Don't get burnt out, Lux. I know. I think the main thing about not getting burnt out is I'm off of social media. So I think that I'll be able to do a bunch of work and take on more tasks and stuff if I'm just like not constantly checking social media. I'll probably need to allot like a certain amount of time per day because I haven't been getting in touch with the news, especially if it's for work, should feel like work. And I need to set aside time for it specifically. So that's why I'm trying to get this RSS feed calibrated to where it's like a reasonable amount that I could go through in a day. It's hard. Masto is I. Yeah. I don't want to try to learn Mastodon, really. I desperately need Jim to call in when Lux is hosting. I need to hear it chew him out. I guess I've missed Jim. What show does Jim call into? Is he? Would I have heard him like because I produce or where? Where Jim? I feel like Jimmy. Is that you mean Jimmy? I feel like Jimmy reins his clownishness in when he's on with you just a tad, possibly. Because I do. I am taking like every call really seriously, and he'll start to clown on him, and I'm like, no, I have a serious point to make. Oh, when I get done eating this piece of chocolate, I'm going to tell you guys about the crafts that I've been doing this week. Really, mostly just yesterday. How does one get to work on the line? Great question. Um, it depends on what role you want to be in, I guess. So usually, when we're bringing new hosts on, we typically invite people who someone on our team has a relationship with them somehow, like they've been in each other's comments or something. And we are trying to bring in more people because we want to diversify and we want to expand our existing programming, which means more staff, whether in and that's behind the scenes and on camera. So for when we have new hosts, we usually bring on somebody to be a guest a few times, and we do just have people on as a guest that it's not necessarily we're trying to feel out like bringing them on permanently. We do just like one-off ones that it's like, hey, yeah, let's do a collab every once in a while. So we have those. We do not launch people's careers for them. So if someone is a small content creator or a new content creator, we don't really bring on those type of people. If we are like, going to benefit each other mutually, those are the best kind of options to take because we don't really want to be doing a lot of guest shows where we're losing money. Because, like, I, as the producer, have to get paid even if we don't make that money back in super chats and ad revenue on that episode. So, in that regard, like, it's a financial decision that we have to make. As far as on the back end, I'm guessing we probably will need more call screeners. And call screeners, we usually just have them for between an hour and maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours at the most. That's the ideal situation. So between an hour and a half, really. The call screeners like answer the phones for us. They take people's information. They also are like weeding out the trolls, and that is like something that you would contact our email for. But I don't know when we're adding anyone else to the screening team. Possibly not in the near future. I don't know. It depends on like whether our existing people are going to be like available for the new shows that we're going to have in this new slots. But and then there's other behind the scenes stuff, but we very, very, very rarely are going to bring on a new producer because that involves, the company has to purchase you a computer. like I have two big beefy fucking computers in my office, and one of them is my work computer. It does not belong to me. There is a box in my house that's labeled Jimmy Snow because it just has like stuff from work that does not belong to me. So I was just like, I'm just gonna put this all in a box, and eventually, if Jimmy needs any of this stuff back, I'll just have it ready to go. Jimmy's really good at sussing out bad actors fairly quick. Oh, fair enough. Maybe I give people more of a benefit of a doubt than he does. Ari is so goddamn patient. It's incredible. Yeah, I've never done a show with Ari, but she seems cool. Does the box labeled Jimmy Snow have Jimmy Snow in it? I hope not. I don't want him in my house. Just goofing. Okay. That chocolate, man. Dark chocolate, so delicious. There's like a fruitiness to it. It's so interesting. But if you're trying to like hit some of those, you know, interesting places in your brain for flavor, but you're not trying to get a whole bunch of fucking sugar and shit, dark chocolate, very stimulating, delicious. Breaking news. Lux has kidnapped Jimmy Snow. I feel like it would also be really hard to fit him in a box. Like, do you guys know how tall he is? I've never even met him in person, but I am imagining when I meet him in person, it's going to be one of those like, oh my God, you are so fucking tall. Because he's a very large person. Like, he's just a tall dude. So I think if I had him in a box, he would have to necessarily be in pieces, which means that I don't have a job anymore. I don't know. I guess we could like limp the company along for a while at least, but I don't know if Arden, who owns the company if Jimmy dies? I don't know what happens. Jimmy Snow's box of snow? True. You keep your dark chocolate. I'll stick to tasty things. Listen, it's okay. You know, my flavor receptors are just tuned into the finer things. It's fine. I think he said he's 6'2". Yeah, he's a big, tall person. I think the tallest person that I have met and interacted with, I want to say either 6'5" or 6'7". I can't remember. Haha, 6'7". I can't remember exactly how tall that dude was, but I've like hugged a dude who is like 6.5 feet tall. They're tall people. So tall. I'm of middling height, you know? I'm like in the middle of 5 foot. Forrest is also tall. I get that impression. Dark chocolate is yummy and has health benefits, or so I tell myself. It does. It has health benefits. Caffeine can be a health benefit. It has fiber in it. That is a health benefit. It has nutrients in it, like iron. It has iron in it, and calcium and potassium. So, and a small amount of protein. So, it does have health benefits. I'm 6'2", says Gayfesh, and whenever I meet someone significantly taller than me, I'm like, oh, is this the passive fear I induce in others? Yeah, I guess so. Like, oh no, you're large. That's what my bitter bean juice is for. I'm just not doing coffee right now. You know, I am just on tea or soda. It's kind of where I'm at. I guess this kombucha that I'm drinking also has caffeine in it because it's a tea product. But coffee just makes my chest hurt. It just causes chest pain and it freaks me out. I don't like it. Erica is tall too. I met her last year. Is she? Okay, so she's got like the big gangly, creepy arms thing going on. I knew a guy who was over 7 foot. He had a business card with several answers to frequently asked questions he would hand people when they mentioned his height. Yep. Just keeping it rolling. Like, yeah, the weather's fine up here. I don't like Hershey's dark chocolate. No. Listen, get the good stuff. If you're going to bother, get some Lindt or other good chocolate, you know? This is like, and like maybe you're like, I was on board for dark chocolate, but then I saw that it's 85% cocoa and not like a reasonable 73% or whatever. Yeah, I am going hard on my health journey. Excuse me. Oh my God. We've got a 6'5" in the chat, a 6'2" in the chat, a 6'4" in the chat. Why are y'all so tall? I would ask for a piggyback ride, but I know that y'all's backs are not strong enough and like not like you would be in so much pain. Maybe if I like lost 20 or 30 pounds, then it would be less painful, but still. I love seeing really tall people paired with really short people, like that pic of Shaq and his 5-foot girlfriend. Yeah, like was it Thor and his girlfriend? There was a big height difference as well. Can I ask for uppies? I used to do powerlifting actually. Does that mean that your back is in good condition? Or does your back hurt? Because I think I said like their backs aren't strong, but that's not what I meant. I don't even know if it matters whether your backs are strong. Because tall people just have back problems. I'm not even 5'1". Nice. Oh, my hair is itchy underneath my bun. Oh no, that's a problem because I cannot reach it. Hort. My back does not hort. Oh, okay. Byron learned how to not hort the back. And you just finished your PhD program, which tells me that you're probably in your late 20s at the absolute earliest, but more likely you're in your 30s. So that's impressive. Not hort because strong/reinforced. Okay. I'm working on getting to that point myself. I have knee problems more than back problems. Okay, yeah. I do. I think that's another good benefit to switching to this cross-legged chair that I have, because the impulse that I have to like sit on my feet or to sit cross-legged, especially on like a small platform where you have to tuck your ankles in a lot, it is hard on your knees and it's a lot of pressure on your knees. So maybe this will give my knees a little bit longer if I can rest them more easily. Chopsticks are great for under bun scratching. You know what? I have so many options here on my desk that I could use for that purpose. Probably the easiest thing would be this embroidery needle. Or this is not an embroidery needle. It's like it's for weaving in my ends on my crochet. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, oh, that's interesting. Okay. That's nice. Sitting on my feet contributed to my ankle ligaments detaching. Do not recommend. Hey, that's great. That's so good to know. I love that. That's so amazing. 33, turning 34 in August. Listen, Byron, I'm so psyched for you. Did I tell you guys? I think I told you guys that I threw out my back rowing because like I was still learning how to do the form correctly, and I was rounding my back too much at the end of the motion where you've got the bar in your hand and then you're supposed to like push back and everything and then you like go back forward. So I was rounding my back through it too much, and that's why my lower back has hurt for the last fucking almost 3 weeks. Because then I came home and I was sitting on it a bunch, and it was the sitting that really hurt my back because I always sit in a dumb fucking way that puts my back in flexion. So the chair is an attempt to solve that problem. But I am also trying to work out my back in the process of working out. Tapestry needle, darning needle. Yeah, that's fair. I would love to learn how to darn. Like fixing holes in socks. Yeah. Need to do more squats. True. Knees and elbows are fracked up from my more athletic days. Oh, Viren, how dare you? The only body pain I tend to get is in my elbow that I had to get a titanium plate for after a biking accident in 2020. Man, I can't imagine just like not having any pain. It's like, oh, my elbow hurts. The weather must be changing again. Like, damn, that's crazy. I have horrible posture from close to 40 years of gaming. Yeah, definitely the posture part is not helping. So I'm making a point to use the lumbar support in this chair, which means that I'm like leaning back a little bit, but I think you're supposed to. I think you're supposed to be like slightly leaned back so that your upper back like curves back and then your neck comes forward a tiny bit. Like, you need to support the curvature of your spine, not try to quote sit up straight by like taking the curve out of your spine. I don't know. I'm just doing my best, okay? Water. Oh, I would love to tell you guys about this exercise machine that I used for the first time recently. It was a lot of fun. And by that I mean it's actually really fucking hard for me with whatever issues that I'm having. I don't know why. In fact, I might not be able to continue doing it. It's I don't know. I should have had more salt before I went to the gym. Maybe that was my big problem. So it's like I think it's called a hip thrust machine because it's like a glute bridge. So you know, like a glute bridge, you've got like your knees are like up, and then you start flat on the floor, and then you kind of like go up, and then back down, like you're flattened, you know, and then this is your knees. So, but the way that this one works is you're like buckled in to a platform, and so you like take off the safety, and instead of starting flat and then like raising up, or starting out bent at the hips and then raising up, you start like all the way down here with like your legs bent a good amount, and then you push up here. And so it's like a much more thorough hinge movement. But anyway, yeah, get you a nice glute workout that way. Why is my live stream page being weird? Why have you done this? I can't believe you've done this. Okay, there we go. We're back. Bananas are meant to be in an arched position. That's my excuse for poor posture anyway. You're shrimping it up out here. Bananas, shrimps, you've got the thing going. Okay, where'd my chat go? Come back, chat. Whitewater rafting. Oh, did I mention rowing? And now the people in the chat are having a whole conversation about like actual rowing, because I was just talking about using the rowing machine in the gym. But I mean, I think rowing as a sport is supposed to be like one of the healthiest ones. Like, rowers are the athletes with the largest hearts, like just a crazy big heart, because it's such a full body exercise that you're doing, like, and it's, you know, so persistent. Riverboat Jack community members are called shimps. Why? They're suckers. Simps usually is like suckers idolizing mediocre pussy, right? Like, but shimps, what is a shimp? Is it a play on shrimp, or is it a play on simp? What is going on here? My confusion is only rising. Back when I would bike to school and would go to the on-campus gym, I remember trying the leg press machine and discovering there was not enough weight to actually challenge me, which seems like a flex until I remember that my body weight naturally hovers above 200 pounds when I'm lean anyway. Yeah, so that does tell me also that I'm going to have to work quite a bit harder before I'll be able to like actually use my bike. Because I got a bike last year, and it turned out that my legs are not strong enough. So that's one of the things that I'm going to work on. Okay, Riverboat Jack's communities are called chimps because it was an inside joke. A dono that used text to speech and the person forgot the R and the community just rolled with it. Okay, that's fun. Why do people not like Riverboat Jack? I mean, as far as I know, people like Riverboat Jack. She's the newest, like, long-term host on the line. She, on the Transatlantic Call-In Show, the Thursdays show that we do at the line, that's all about trans issues. She's one of our regular hosts now, so she'll be on there twice a month. And yeah, if I ever had an idea for a conversation, like maybe that's something we need to do, because if I'm like running out of shit to talk about in my own life, then maybe I need to start doing more guest streams. Or maybe it doesn't have to be the whole stream, but maybe part of the stream. Because, like, yeah, Riverboat Jack is awesome. We share a lot of audience. I think we did really well on our episode of The Line Together that we did last month, or whenever the fuck that was. So I think we did well. There's going to be some clips coming out on my channel soon of those calls, some of the calls that I took with Jack. So yeah, it's I actually have to do a bunch of like video stuff that I've just been putting off for like 2 weeks. I'm about to make like a pretty serious life change and get my ADHD medicated again. So I am hoping that like some of this productivity is like rooted in some of those life changes that I'm going to be making. So anyway, I didn't know that if the shimp thing was supposed to be an insult because I like Jack. Yeah, no, Jack is cool. Jack and Lux was my dream host combo. Nice. I'm considering getting a standing desk. Honestly, I love having a standing desk. And man, this is the thing though. She gets startled by it because it's a motor and I motorize the desk and like take it up and down. She gets freaked out by it and she'll run away. And right now she's very sweetly sleeping or pretending to sleep on the floor. And if I would love to, I'm actually not uncomfortable right now. I'm just trying to get in a better habit of standing and sitting. And yeah, so I'm just trapped in my chair, I guess. I can't switch to standing because I'll disturb the cat. Every time I see RBJ abbreviated, I read it in my head as Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Fucking true. It has thrown me off many, many, many times. I feel like I missed the last couple streams. Listen, we're just here, we're vibing, If anybody ever has recommendations for like what you want streams to be like, because I want to keep doing them to at least some extent. It's not ever going to be hot, spicy political anymore, I don't think. Trapped by pets is the life, though, I know. She's such a sweet angel. If she lays on my lap, then I'm like, well, I guess I'm stuck here for a while. But yeah, if you guys are if there's anything specific that you guys are like, oh, we should have a segment on stream where we talk about this, then... But I feel like you guys are, for the most part, moving past this desire to see me talk about news all the time. Working in corporate America loves to kill the enjoyable things in our lives. Yeah, I know. And I stream so early in the day, too. I guess it's Sunday, so it's like maybe less applicable now. But, I stream starting at 2 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesdays, and there are going to be some viewers of mine who are on the same coast as me and who are like, I'm at work right now. We haven't even discussed tea yet. Must be some kind of record. I haven't been drinking as much tea because I've recently gotten into zero sugar Dr. Pepper, but kombucha is a tea product, and we have talked about that this stream already. Lux reads nice stories, says the schmuck who really wants to nap. That's true, yeah. I'm almost done with this too. I've had some real weird poops this week, so I'm hoping I've also had to take a bunch of antibiotics periodically over the last few months. So maybe I'm hoping that this will kind of make my biome normal again. Maybe. Let's get some healthy tiny boys. Get some friends, drink some friends. Isn't that cool? Whether you have a sourdough or a kombucha in your kitchen, you're like making little guys, and then you're consuming the little guys, and you're like, it's weird that you're consuming them, but you're not consuming them to kill them. You're like, I want a bunch of you to live inside me. I'm inviting a bunch of little guys to live inside me to do good things for my gut health. That's what kombucha's for. That's what yogurt is for. I also just grabbed, nobody cares, but I also grabbed another probiotic. I'm going to let you guess what it's about based on the color. Coffee beans, what's up? Fermented biotic products. Yes, my friends. My friends. Does anyone know of a good sugar-free probiotic soda? I don't know that is entirely possible, because the reason why it's probiotic, they require sugar to live. Like the little guys that you want in your body, if you're going to put them in a bottle, then they need sugar to eat. And if there's zero sugar in it, then they're just going to be drowning in their own waste. And like, that would not be ideal. So I don't know. It just seems self-contradictory, but maybe there is a zero sugar probiotic drink. It just doesn't seem like it would be possible. It's little guys all the way down. Have you watched or read something new lately? We have been watching Rob Reiner movies, which I need to start posting links to that in the Discord. I'm sorry, I've been slacking on that, Gayfesh. I figured like people will probably see it on the collaboration thing on YouTube, but I should post it in the thing as well. That we've been watching Rob Reiner movies, which includes The Princess Bride, which I've seen a million fucking times, but pretty much every other movie on the list I have never seen before. So we did This Is Spinal Tap. We've done When Harry Met Sally. We did Misery, which is Stephen King novel adapted into movie. We did Stand By Me, which is another Stephen King adapted into a movie. Next, we are doing... So I really have enjoyed a lot of these movies more than I expected that I would. And next, we're doing some other movie I've never seen before. Yeah, go to the Gayfesh YouTube channel to see the podcast where I talk about movies with Gayfesh and Demon Mama. What movie are we doing next? When Harry Met Sally and Misery haven't come out yet. Yes, so that's teasers for you guys. Those episodes haven't come out yet. The most recent one that we published was The Princess Bride. And When Harry Met Sally and Misery are coming out soon. And then the next video that we need to watch is A Few Good Men. We'll record that episode in a couple weeks or a week or whatever the fuck that is. So yeah. How much pay for movies with Lux? Listen, the podcast is free. You can support the show if you want to by supporting Gayfesh on Patreon, but yeah. And like I do really want to do more work on my second channel with like movie reviews. I just have not been feeling at all motivated to do it, and I haven't yet created a system of discipline around this where I'm like, here's the days and times that I'm going to do that thing. So I'm kind of like slowly working on it bit by bit. I feel like you have to. You know, you cannot necessarily start with a meal plan for the whole month. You might meal plan for like 2 days a week and then increase that gradually, because it's like really difficult to start all at once. And so I'm like, when am I going to go to the gym? I'm trying to work in like daily showers instead of doing like twice a week showers, because if I'm working out more, then I want to like at least rinse off afterwards. So I'm like getting that schedule down and scheduling like when am I going to go do various errands, especially weekly tasks that happen every week. Just like getting stuff on a schedule locked in. And the next things is like strategizing for how to, yeah, like what time I'm going to specifically set aside to record and edit videos, or what time I'm going to specifically set aside to watch a movie for the channel and record something for that. So yeah, I don't know. I'm so excited about getting my ADHD treated because I feel like that's the key. Like that's the thing that's going to unlock it for me. Happy birthday with love and admiration. Thank you, John from the UK. Appreciate that. Happy birthday indeed. My actual birthday is later this week, but we're getting the ball rolling, right? I figured if anybody wants to buy me something for my birthday on my wish list, which is up here, then I got to give you time for the shipping. Stand By Me is one of my favorite movies, even though it makes me sad because Will Wheaton was miserable throughout it. Yeah, yes, we did indeed. Gayfesh brought that up in the podcast. The guy who wrote the Princess Bride book went to my alma mater. Hell yeah. Listen, Byron, that's spoilers. That's spoilers. Fucking season 4, though. Season 4 of Invincible. They put the first 3 episodes out last week, and then the other episodes are coming out week by week. So, yeah, but I sat down to watch the first episode with my partner, and it got to the end, and it was like auto playing episode 2, and I was like, is there more? Like, wait, did they drop the whole thing, or did they drop half the season right now? So yes, we stayed up kind of a little bit later than we planned, watching all 3 episodes the first night because I was excited to watch them. And then I've watched them again. I need to really go back to like the first season and really take a look at the animation style, because people I think keep commenting that the animation has gotten worse in quality, and I wouldn't say that is one of the primary things that I notice when I'm watching it. But maybe, I don't know, there were like a couple of things in season 4 that I was like, oh, there's noticeable jank with that. So it is a little bit of a bummer that they haven't been boosting that with as much budget as they possibly can. Mine is later this week too. Hehe, B-Day neighbors. Aries! I'm not actually into astrology, so please don't worry that I'm into insane things. Okay, that is gone. I'm not into astrology personally. If you are, then I don't care, but it's not for me. Ooh, speaking of not being into weird stuff, let's draw a tarot card. Let's draw a tarot card. Let's just get a feel. Let's just get a read. Let's just get a read on what's going on in the world right now. Let's just do one, you know? These get shuffled regularly. Here, let's pull out the middle. Pull out the middle. There we go. I need to catch up on Invincible. I think I've only seen the first 2. Hell yeah. So after season 2, there was a special Adam Eve, a special episode about Adam Eve. And that, I believe, came out between seasons 2 and 3. So if you're looking on your Amazon Prime, it is basically listed as a separate season, the Adam Eve special. So I recommend watching that between seasons 2 and 3. And then, yeah, season 3 was great. And then season 4 is starting now. Lux, are you more of a TV person, or are you a comic person who also watches the shows? So for many of these things, I get exposed to it first through the show. So like for Invincible, my partner had seen several memes after it had come out, and he was like, this show looks kind of amazing based on these memes. And so, yeah, we decided to watch it together based on the quality of the memes from the first episodes. And then after season 3 last year is when we bought the comics. So we have the 3 main omnibus that are like this fucking big. And then my partner got me one of the side books, there's more than one side book. The one is Adam Eve one that has the Adam Eve backstory in it. And I haven't read that yet. So basically, the show got me into the comics, and then I read the comics. So I know a lot of what's going to happen in the future, but I'm still excited about the changes that they've made and getting to experience like how the show is going to take us as far as getting to the end. Yeah, so it's been lots of fun. Okay, we're doing a draw. We're drawing a card, and the card is Wands, the Seven of Wands. I think technically I pulled it in the reverse position, but we can read it both ways. What does the Seven of Wands look at his little fairy self. Look at him. Wow. He seems triumphant about something. Seven of I have a little book to explain because I don't understand what any of them mean. Seven of Wands. Okay, in the upright position, you rise to meet your challenges. The Seven of Wands indicates competition and the continued maintenance of the status you have achieved. Though you may face difficulties, you choose to stand firm. There is no adversity which you cannot manage. There is no adversity with which you cannot engage, regardless of whether you win or lose. You are sure of your goals, and there is no negotiating them. But I drew it in the reverse position, so maybe somebody needed to hear that, but maybe somebody needs to hear this. The struggle proves to be too much, and you are overwhelmed from the effort of defending yourself. You are plagued with self-doubt and feelings of inadequacy. This loss of position is a blow to your self-esteem, and your confidence is shattered. You have yielded to the will of others despite your ethical or moral reservations. Reading tarot in reverse positions isn't always required. Yeah, do whatever the fuck you want. It's all pretend. We're just having fun with it. That's why I read it both ways. You know, I get you something juicy. It's juicy regardless. Somebody's gonna see. It's even better than just one cold read, like pulling one card for a cold read. Because if you pull the card and you're like, ooh, it could go either way, then you're hitting two completely different audiences. And there might be some overlap, but they could also be two totally different audiences. There you go. So just double up on your cold reading. I watched the first season of Invincible, then read the whole series before the second season came out. Yeah. I think it was just like a we couldn't afford it thing. But we decided to commit the money and make that, investment. Because it's like $40 per omnibus or whatever, something like that. So it's like over $100 if you want to get all of it. And that doesn't even count any of the side ones. Yeah. So. It still has rules. Nuh-uh. I'll do whatever I want. I'll do whatever I want in tarot. I missed the occasional card pull. Yeah, I don't have consistent things that we do on the show. I'll forget that I have tarot cards for weeks at a time. And then I'll be like, ooh, you know what? I really want to pull a tarot because I'm like thinking about something profound and I want to reflect my thoughts back to myself. So, but then yeah, I'll just forget that I have them. So if there's ever cool stuff that you're like, oh, I miss when Lux used to do that. I'm like, okay, well, thanks for telling me because I forget shit. Like my fan gets buried under stuff on my desk and I forget that I have a fan. You know? Okay, I'm not scaring her. She's not scared. I know, I'm not taking it. I'm not like upset, Mabs. I'm not taking it too seriously. I've been reading Invincible since like 2014. Nice. I do a random card to prompt when I'm journaling. I was doing something like that for a while, but I think I was putting too much effort into it where I was like doing a miniature drawing of the card and like writing what it said in the book about its meaning. So yeah, maybe just pull a card and reflect on it instead of writing down all of its meaning. I was just like, can I incorporate an exercise where I will eventually memorize all 78 of these cards? I don't know. Is it even 78 or is it 84? Man, I miss back when I actually had disposable income. Buying trade paperbacks and omnibuses was incredible. Goddamn capitalism. Yeah, this is another reason why I'm looking into becoming an engineer and not just staying a content creator, because I think that this is a fundamentally limited platform for me as a femme, as a person assigned female, as a trans person, as a non-binary person. Like, I just think that there are too many hurdles to me ever becoming particularly successful. And like the areas of interest that I have, I'm not like a fucking marketer, you know? And you kind of have to be in order to be successful on socials nowadays. So I don't think that I'm ever going to make enough money doing this kind of job. And I want to have disposable income, and I want to be able to help people with that disposable income, and I want to have like security and safety for myself and others. So, yeah, goddamn capitalism. Put that on a fucking t-shirt. Aha, actually, the plural of omnibus is omnibussy. True. True. I know I'm missing a lot of context, but is the marketing the only reason you feel limited? So it's like, okay, so the question is like, if I could do anything and I didn't have to worry about money, would I continue doing YouTube? Like, yeah, I might feel goofier about it. Like I might be a little bit more silly with how I do stuff, but it's like I've built up an existing platform, you know, and you have to start a new platform if you want to hard pivot with new content. So if I'm annoyed with talking about politics all the time, which is one of the primary reasons why I've had this like conflict around doing content anymore, right? If I could just pivot my entire main channel to watching movies and doing queer commentary on those movies, then that might be an easier sell, but I can't do that. I have to start over on a second channel because the existing channel doesn't just convert like that. So the existing channel has to continue talking about politics, which at this time, it's at least like relatively easy to maintain the channel by just like updating or uploading calls from the line. So, and that seems to be keeping the gears turning pretty easily. And it's like a relatively minor amount of time commitment from me on that. So yeah, I'm just not passionate about it. And it's like, in order to be seen, so even if the goal is just to be seen and be heard, and you're not worried about the profit motive aspect, well, you're still fighting with an algorithm. So that's just like some of the inherent things about it. If you haven't already, you absolutely need to read the comic series Saga by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. I am trying to read more. It wasn't really like trying to read more comics. Like I got this new comic from Invincible series for Christmas and I haven't read it yet. But I'll at least check out what it's about. Saga by Brian K. Vaughan. There's a breastfeeding woman on the cover. Cool. Who is Sean Plott? We're here to learn today.
Yeah, that would be a fun.
Whoa. No, No Evan and Caitlin autoplay. Why would you Evan and Caitlin autoplay? Sean Plott. Magic the Gathering? Sorry if I missed this, but why don't you want to talk politics anymore? I think you would be super successful doing political live streams with super chats because it drains my spirit. Like, I'm trans and I love a lot of people who are trans, and like the number one thing that's happening. But the annoying thing is, like, I subscribed to a couple of mainstream news things like ABC and NPR, and they aren't even talking about any of this anti-trans news. But then I follow like Pink News and Aaron in the Morning, and every fucking day it's some new bullshit red state, trying to restrict trans rights, or like coming to steal trans people's children, or arresting trans people, or stripping them of their driver's license, or whatever. And it's like, it's just constantly escalating. And I feel like I can't really do a lot about it, or that we're reaching the point in the conversation where the only thing I have left to say is like breaking TOS, or is like suggesting that the entire system needs to be dismantled and we need to start all over. So I just don't really feel like I have anything politically insightful to say anymore. I'm just angry and frustrated, and I feel powerless. So I'm like, yeah, let's vote and like campaign for local issues and get involved in your local community. And so that is like the most hopeful thing that I can do with the way that I feel right now, is suggest that people should get involved with their local communities. But I could also just do that myself and not talk about it all the time anymore, and not feel like shit and stressed out all the time, and not make it part of my literal job to have to keep my finger on the pulse of my rights being destroyed in this country and my neighbors being kidnapped by the Gestapo and shit. It's like, I know that everything's bad, and I just feel like exposing myself to it all the time is making me less and less effective, when I could be like maybe living some of my values a little bit more directly by, getting a career that is going to help physically move us into renewable energies, like, or volunteering, or making friends locally and helping people's lives in an immediate sense, even if they're just the people in my social circles. Like, I'm not trying to say that I see no value in what I do currently, but I think that I'm able to accomplish a lot of the goals that I have around political efficacy through the line. And I'm not planning on quitting the line. In fact, over the next few years, regardless of whether or not I end up going to college, but even if I go to college, like, I'm going to spend a lot of time investing in the line. We are going to be expanding shows. I'm willing to cut back on my streaming in order to work more. And I'm hosting. And so I'm having those conversations. We had some conversations last week, and I'm curious if any of you who were there have any opinions. On Thursday last week, I did the Jimmy Snow show, and we had a couple of people who called that I felt like I made some movement with them. We had like an old guy who was like an unemployed truck driver who had previously called about hating brown people, TLDR. And I ended up trying to take it down a route of like, you want to bitch about socialism, but let me explain to you what socialism is. Let me try to reach like a common ground of you understanding what the goals are from our position as like a socialist organization and like people who would advocate for socialist policies. As I felt like I made some amount of progress there, at least with him just being like, okay, I can understand, like, if you're pro-worker, I'm pro-worker. I also think that I've been mistreated by, so I'm like hitting that angle of like, you shouldn't have had to work 70 hours a week as a truck driver. Like, that kind of exploitation shouldn't be allowed. And then we had a young guy, the 18-year-old who called, and I think it was like the last call that we had, maybe, or one of the last ones. And he was just like, he just didn't know stuff. Like, when we were like, our socialism is based in our values of secular humanism. And this kid did not know what secular humanism was. So we were like, okay, now we have to like literally educate you on what feels like it should be a basic, like, you just know about other religious groups. Secular humanism is like the moral philosophy that atheists rally around, that addresses like the moral questions that just answering the God question doesn't answer when you're in your process of deconverting or deconstructing from a religion. So like, we had to explain basic concepts to him. And I felt like that was a productive conversation as well, where I was like trying to, like, I feel like Jimmy was disheartened the whole time. Jimmy was like, you're just a kid and I don't even know like how to have this conversation is kind of the vibe that I was getting from Jimmy. No disrespect, of course. But I was like, yeah, let me like listen, I'll take over. Let me explain to you what secular humanism is. Let me explain to you where we get our values from and that our values drive us toward the political system that we want to live in. And I really hammered in as well, like he was trying to say that a profit motive was a good thing. And I was like, what makes profit motive good? What makes it good? Like, I can tell you all of these negatives, all of the ways in which we have to be constantly battling against companies who want to constantly prioritize their profits. And we are trying desperately to like restrict their power so that we can have healthy lives. But what if we just eliminated the profit motive? Like, what incentive is there to keep the profit motive? How does that help? And he was not able to articulate it. So I feel like that is a productive use of my time politically. And this is one of those areas where like, even if I go into electrical engineering, I could still always be a lobbyist, but come at lobbying or come at policymaking or come at lawmaking or whatever from a really firmly grounded, like technical perspective. But it's not even just a firmly grounded technical perspective because I have been an electrician. So it's all of these like practical things that I think could potentially coalesce into like a fruitful endpoint, even though I don't necessarily want to be in politics. But if I can help even just influence politically charged decisions within whatever company or body I work at as an electrical engineer, specifically again in the renewables sector, or at least in like the updating or building new systems and making sure that those new systems are renewable and everything. So yeah, anyway, I just don't think content alone is where it's at for me. I don't know. Listen, here's another question to answer. If the demands on my time at the line got extensive enough, would I draw boundaries to maintain my own stream? Or would I work at the line as hard as I possibly can and kind of like maybe continue posting videos on the Luxander channel as far as posting clips from calls, but maybe not doing streams anymore, or maybe just kind of giving up the idea of doing queer movie reviews and just sticking to the bare minimum, like maybe. So that's kind of the questions that I'm thinking about nowadays. For those who are interested in why I don't want to make fucking political content anymore. But you are correct, Jayless, that whenever I put a politically charged thing in the title of the show, I'll have 100 viewers. Like right now, 45 viewers is like okay, but it's not the best that my show does. My show does best when I'm talking about my own fucking oppression, which is frustrating. Did we watch Philosophy Tube's latest video? No, I have not. Of course, it's on my list, but I got the impression that it was about, again, one of these really personally depressing topics that I don't want to engage with right now. That last call made a lot more sense once we found out he's 18. I know. Jimmy was slacking. He usually asks that right at the beginning, but I guess we missed that. I agree about the news. Every time I read Aaron in the morning, I realize how dire the situation is, and it sticks with me all day. Right. Like, is that useful? Is that motivating me to do something? Is that helping fuel me? Or is it just draining me? Because again, I know that bad things are happening to trans people and immigrants and everything, and they will continue to happen. But am I helping myself be more effective and committed to the change that needs to be made? If I feel burnt out or bogged down or overwhelmed, or I'm stuck in fight or flight mode because I'm just constantly reading about the bad things, like if it's keeping you from doing what is actually helping in the world, then yeah, take a break. What you consider quote basic education could be absolutely life-changing for an impressionable teenager. that's probably true. I'm not exactly sure what I just said that you were responding to directly, Ben, but I don't disagree. Yeah, of course. Jimmy is not a teacher or mentor. No, I don't think so. I think I'm a good teacher. Like I'm pretty good at it. Yeah, I agree. Philosophy Tube is pretty great. Zorro asks, do you consider yourself trans as not part of the typical genders of the world? So in general, I think lots of trans people are fine fitting into the typical man-woman dynamic, and those trans people are just normal men and women as far as I'm concerned. I personally am non-binary. I don't even know that I have a specific gender label anymore. I used to identify as genderqueer, and then I decided to use the word agender, but I don't really think that that technically applies. So I'm just going to broadly say I'm non-binary with no specifics attached to that. And I feel like I experience gender in a way that is probably not typical. So, but I'm definitely like part of the world, and my experience is not abnormal just because it's uncommon. But yeah, I mean, sometimes when people talk about gender, I'm like, yeah, I kind of can understand what you mean. And sometimes I'm like, I cannot imagine caring about that. Then other times I'm like, yeah, I also care about that. So I don't know. It's like weird. Oh, specifically, I'm asking is if one considers themselves separate from others because they are trans, do they assume they are part of a trans community? Personally, I do not see the link between individuals. I mean, I definitely perceive myself as part of the trans community. Like, that's one of the number one forms of advocacy that I do. Speaking of the line and on this channel and everything, is committed to defending trans rights, uh, like educating myself and educating others about trans rights. And I feel like I stand by trans people by default. And like when something happens to a trans person or trans people as a whole, I am wounded by that. Like, I don't know that I ever really truly felt like I was part of a people group until I went to this HIV/AIDS art exhibit. And then I was like, oh, I am like the being queer and being trans is like a shared legacy that I'm part of that I hadn't really connected to prior to that because I'm white and we don't have like a people group in that way. So, I mean, especially ambiguously, like ethnically ambiguous white people, I don't know specifically where my ancestors are from. So, yeah. So as a trans person, like, yeah, when trans people are hurt, I am hurt. When trans people succeed, I am proud. Um yeah, like I definitely feel like I'm part of something as a trans person. So I'm not sure if maybe other people don't feel that way, but oh boy. Arden just texted me. I'll have to text her back later. Uh yeah, feeling overwhelmed about persecution. Yep. Just I don't need to deal with it all the time. I moved to a safe state so that I could live without having to worry about that shit as much. And that doesn't mean I'm like abdicating all responsibility and now I'm gonna pull myself up and leave everybody else behind. Like I'm still gonna try to help people. Again, I'm just trying to help like in a different way. Okay, I'm gonna scroll up a little bit because I missed some things in the chat. Yes, it's difficult to bury your heart into something and see no tangible improvements as a result. Right. Like as I'm like desperately trying to raise awareness and fight against anti-trans laws for the past 4 years, right? Like I started streaming as my full-time gig in 2022. And it has only gotten worse since then. So that's like you really need to see a positive impact of your work. And that's another reason why I think being an engineer is like, oh, I can do that thing where I drive past and I'm like, I helped build that. I had that going before. I was like, I've worked in that house. Oh, I've worked in that Taco Bell, you know? I've come to find that political content has diminishing returns because at this point it's not actually rewarding for the creators nor the audience, which seems apparent to me. I think the political content does need to move substantially for it to grow. Yeah, that's fair. Hello, Allie. I have had a good weekend. It's been a pretty good weekend. Having taught 18-year-olds in my mid-20s, the thing that sucks is that they still baby, but they think they not baby. That's true. Faulty says, this is why I prefer yours and Jovan's approaches, where you find that thread to pull on and the caller actually seems to have something click or at least determine that they need to learn. Yeah. That's fair, right? Like that caller that we had, the old guy, I was like, listen, I don't know a lot about what's going on in Iran right now, but I know how to catch someone in a logical trap. And so you can't say like, oh, I don't think we should be helping Ukraine. You know, we're just helping them and it's a waste of money and all this, but then also support bombing Iran because Iran was a danger to their neighbors. Like, no, you can't say I don't give a shit about protecting Ukraine and also I do give a shit about protecting fucking Israel or whoever else is adjacent to Iran. Like I don't know a lot about what's going on, but I do know that what you just said is fucking self-contradictory, you know? Why are you like, yes, let's bomb Iran, but fuck Ukraine? That doesn't make any sense. I do feel a sense of pride in my engineering work, highly recommend. Even if the day-to-day work isn't the most fulfilling, the skills can translate to community work. Yeah, that's fair. That's the one thing is when you're trying to imagine the day-to-day of a job, it's like, what is the actual day-to-day? I don't know because the amount of fucking math that goes into being an engineer, I'm like, I fundamentally cannot understand what a day-to-day life is like for a person who does that much math. Or maybe math is less of a thing in the actual like position. It depends on what the actual position is, but like what does this kind of person do on a day-by-day basis? Like if it's an office job, meetings. I think I gather that meetings will occur in an office job. And that you'll, have spreadsheets, possibly. This is me from a fucking retail and trade background guessing what an office job is like. Like I hear that there are printers and I've copiers, perhaps even fax machines. This may surprise you, but I have used a fax machine before, so perhaps not a big part of the modern workplace. The cat's just been here the entire time, by the way. You could have donated and made it possible for us to see the cat. I guess I put the bar too high. Yeah, meetings mostly. I feel like I don't mind meetings. I like being social and I like not working, which is what a meeting is. I guess if you're under an unreasonable crunch and you're like, I really needed to be working during that meeting, then I could see that being annoying, but whatever. The spreadsheets do the math for you, but you have to know how it works first. Yeah, and to be fair, I did learn how to use Microsoft Office when I was in school. And I use Google Sheets on a regular basis. Like, I don't know, maybe they're more complex functions, but I do know the basic premise of how to make it add things together which I think I could build on pretty easily. You'll be fine as an engineer. You already argue to the point of exhaustion to ignorant people on how the world works. Yeah, and we talked about it a few weeks ago where I was like, I'm finding that I have pre-calculus for dummies. I moved it earlier, so it's not here at my desk, but I've been working through a pre-calculus book because I never took pre-calc or calculus. I stopped at algebra 2 like most people do in high school. And I was like, I'm finding that, like, I remember when I was in school basically just memorizing these equations, but now I'm like, wait, how do they work? Why is this the way that it is? Which I think will A, help with memorizing it, but also B, Viren suggested that it would be really useful if I'm trying to understand math to like really fully deeply understand it rather than just being like, oh yeah, I have to memorize a bunch of shit. So that might also make me a better engineer because I actually care.
10 Reasons got a tier 1 subscription. 3-month sub. Happy B-Day.
Hell yeah. Thank you. 10K Reasons for the 3-month sub at tier 1. Happy B-Day. Indeed. That's like $12, I'm pretty sure. And that brings us up to $27 total today. I'll bring the amount down, okay? Let's say 150. I only have an hour left. If we can make it to $150, I will do new cat reveal. Man, we might have to wait. We might have to wait until my birthday stream. I saw someone wearing a shirt a couple weeks ago that said, engineering. I'm not arguing. I'm simply explaining why I'm right. I think that I'll fit in perfectly. I'll fit in perfectly. My understanding is a lot of engineers need to be capable of doing the math by hand without being expected to do it by hand, and need to know the important principles of a given project to avoid, accidents. Kind of like how I never solved an equation as part of my research, but I had to do a lot of math to achieve being a physicist. Yeah, sure. Totally. Meetings are horrible. Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, sure. It depends on your boss, right? Or it depends on your coworkers. As an engineer, you will have to learn some calculus, and the way calculus is taught makes a lot more sense if you are trying to build it out analytically. Yeah. Oh man, I need to go to the restroom, but I also don't want to kill the momentum of the stream or the conversation. Did I already tell you guys that I'm struggling to determine if the thing that I want to do actually counts technically as electrical engineering or if it technically counts as a type of mechanical engineering? Because I was looking through all the courses for the electrical engineering at a community college and also at a couple of regular colleges, and just like the electrical engineering stuff has a lot more computer stuff involved in it, and it doesn't have drafting. But the kind of job that I want to get, I think, is a job that requires like AutoCAD, or at least I want that to be. So I think that that's more of a mechanical engineering thing. Like I think technically, and I looked at this one college that had their energy systems engineering degree listed under mechanical engineering and not under electrical engineering. So I think technically what I want is more mechanical than strictly electrical engineering. But I watched a video recently that went into a whole bunch of, oh, thank you, Squirrel Knitter, the gifted sub, or the gifted membership, I should say, on YouTube. Thank you so much. What was I about to do? I was looking up something on YouTube. What was it? Oh, YouTube video about engineering. What did I watch recently that had to do with this? Where is it? Is it in my history? Are you in my history? Oh, the map of engineering. There it was. So this video, I watched the map of engineering from Domain of Science, where the dude, like this thumbnail kind of shows you like all of the different areas that he talks about. So it's like marine engineering and like all these things and what they're called and like what technically is a type of civil engineering. Fermentation is a type of bioengineering. Like it was really cool and fun, but it really illustrated that there's so much overlap that engineering is like each individual subfield has so much overlap with like 3 or 4 related subfields right next to it. So I can see it being like pretty easy to jump from one type to another as far as like as long as they're relatively close to each other. Yeah. So that's pretty fun. Anyway, I've like recently been like watching more engineering videos. Thank you, Squirrel Knitter, for purchasing your own membership. I don't have a lot of value going into the memberships right now. I haven't like posted on there in a while, but thank you for joining. A lot of job openings will just say, quote, engineering degree. Yeah, that feels maddening. That feels maddening. It's like, what do you mean? What kind of engineering? There are so many different kinds of engineering. Having an actual purpose for the math being learned is what helped me more than anything. Is that maybe industrial engineering with an electrical focus? I mean, I think it's like mechanical engineering. I guess technically it could be a type of industrial engineering if you get at a large enough scale. Like if I design solar panel installations for people's houses versus on the tops of commercial buildings versus a large solar farm that is replacing acres and acres of farmland that's currently being used to grow corn for ethanol fuel, then like does it scale up and now I'm an industrial engineer because I'm now designing utility level systems? So this is what I mean. There's no fucking specificity for engineering. Luxia forgot to update the dono amount. I don't really add memberships to the dono amount. I only begrudgingly add super chats to the dono amount, but I don't really add the membership amounts. They're different. They're different. Like almost all, like just so you guys know, all of the money that comes in through YouTube, whether that's memberships or super chats, does not come to me until next month. And also YouTube takes like up to 40% of your money. So the best way to donate and have that immediate gratification is to do it on my website. Fermentation. So when will we get Luxander cider? Like I said earlier, I have a kombucha in my fucking kitchen, so I think that technically I have a fermentation thing going on. I don't know if it's alive still. I got to figure that out soon probably, because I haven't fed it in a while and it's just been sitting there. So maybe I only have like the strongest kombucha bacteria left. Like I don't know. But, and I also would really like to do mead, but dude, that's so expensive. Like, I learned so much about how to make mead, and then I really started to grapple with how much 1 pound of honey costs. Because it's 1 pound of honey makes 1 gallon of mead, and 1 gallon of mead is like, what, 4 wine bottles or something? Something like that. So 1 pound of honey, especially if you're trying to get good honey, local honey, right? It's fucking expensive. So it's like, is it worth it? Am I gonna go through this multi-step process to get mead that like may or may not even be good? Is this your birthday? This is the beginning of my birthday. My birthday is actually later this week, so we're gonna celebrate it on Wednesday. But I put my wish list up here because I figured if somebody wants to buy me something for my birthday, it'll take a couple days for it to show up. So The mead math is mathing on that. Right. And like it's like sorry, not engineering, Jesus. With mead, it might not turn out the way that you want it to turn out, or it's like you're supposed to age it. I saw one guy say, I would never serve a mead that had aged less than 2 months. So I'm like, okay, so then you have to age it at least 2 months according to this one guy, because otherwise it's too alcohol-y, like it's too alcohol forward. It takes a little while for it to mellow out and become sweet. So yeah, it's expensive and it's a lot of effort. And do I really even like mead that much? I actually don't even think I like mead that much. I think I enjoy wine more than I enjoy mead. And even then, I'm trying to drink less. Like, I don't think, honestly, that drinking on a regular basis is part of the kind of lifestyle that I want to live, where I'm doing fucking calculus. What about 1 pound of maple syrup? True. Yeah, can you make, so that might not work because maple syrup has its own unique, like, bacterium in it. That's why you have to put maple syrup on, in the refrigerator, is because it has, like, a microbiome, and, like, ants can't eat it even though it's a sugar source. Like, ants will die if they eat maple syrup. What the fuck am I looking up? Can you make maple syrup mead? I guess some people do it. Maple mead is made with honey with pure maple syrup. So you end up mixing mead with maple syrup. If you did it with only maple syrup as the sugar, then it probably would be, maybe it would be called something else. Maybe it would just be like a maple wine. Or is it only, it's not only wine if you use grapes, right? I don't know. I mean, vin has to do with the vine. It does kind of necessarily imply grapes. So I don't know what the drink would be called if it was just maple syrup used as the sugar in a fermentation process to make an alcohol, but I think it would be very intense. And you're not getting away from the allegations of it being too fucking expensive, right? Like 1 pound of maple syrup? Or I don't know, I guess maybe the amount might be different because the concentration of sugar might be different in the maple syrup. I don't know, fucking know. I don't know, dude. I don't know. To all Oregonians, you have until Monday to provide input on the Trump administration's plan to dramatically increase logging in Western Oregon forests by 2.3 million acres. Where is that? I know that you can't put a link in the YouTube chat. I couldn't even fix that if I wanted to. But where? Is it public comment? Trump logging Oregon. Let's see if that helps. BLM launches public comment on Western Oregon timber from the Bureau of Land Management. BLM launches public comment on Western Oregon timber plan to advance Trump administration priorities. The Bureau of Land Management is inviting public input for proposed updates to resource management plans that guide the administration of approximately 2.5 million acres of highly productive timberlands in Western Oregon, an effort that underscores the Trump administration's commitment to expanding domestic timber production and reducing reliance on foreign imports. Okay, yeah, so I would say if you are allowed to give an opinion on this, like, I don't know who's allowed to give an opinion on this, but that's a good thing to double check on and fucking tell him to fucking knock it the fuck off. Fucking tell him to fucking knock it the fuck off. Stop it. I think pound for pound maple syrup is more expensive. Yeah. But one of the things that I just read was like suggesting that you might get more mileage out of maple mead or out of maple syrup. So maybe you would need less maple syrup than you would usually need of honey. Like it's more concentrated or something. So I don't know. I don't know what the ratios would be. I feel like engineering itself is just a particular mindset plus some field of specialized knowledge, the first part being the most important bit that enables the second part to come just with exposure. Yeah, I also noticed that I was starting to feel a little high and mighty. I was like, why are software engineers even called engineers? Like, isn't it a little bit insulting to people who like build bridges that we put fucking Jeff, the software guy, in the same category? And I do a little bit still feel that way, but the original etymology of the word engineering has to do with using your ingenuity, like the Latin root and everything. It's like, yes, the word engineer was made to distinguish like people who work on engines. Yeah, but also even the word engine comes back around to ingenuity. So I'm like, any field in which you're using your ingenuity to solve problems, I think could count as a type of engineering. Especially if you're solving practical problems or building and like using your creativity. So, yeah. I mean, from all the engineers I know, drinking does seem to be part of the lifestyle, but for real, don't be drinking too much if that's not your scene. Yeah, well, it's like I want to be, I want to be healthy and I want to be focused. And I think that drinking often is not conducive to those goals. Maybe once I'm an engineer, but at least as a college student, that seems fucking like I need to pull back on substances. Like, I know of several folks that make maple wine in Minnesota. Legally to the feds, mead and maple wines are also just wine. Just have to get out to tap trees to bring the costs way down. It doesn't taste great in my opinion, though. Maple wine doesn't count as... Or sorry, it doesn't taste good. Fascinating. Technically / legally, you can't call yourself an engineer unless you pass the PE license exam for your discipline. Which that's so exciting to me also, that the idea that like, and I didn't know this until just recently, that professional engineer is a title in the same way that like MD is a title, like medical doctor, or yeah, like, so professional engineer. So yeah, as an engineer, you learn all the stuff and then you pass a licensure exam and then you are like officially an engineer. But I don't think that like, what do you mean like legally you can't call yourself an engineer? Like, do software engineers have a professional engineer license? So like, is Godless Engineer breaking rules? Is John breaking rules by calling himself an engineer? I don't know. Are Imagineers considered engineers? Listen. This engineer conversation kind of reminds me of doctor being used for physicians and people with doctoral degrees. And some people get really persnickety about the former being the only doctors when the origin is basically a learned person. Wait, so are people saying like physicians are the only people who should call themselves a doctor? Because I actually had the opposite pet peeve where I was like, if you haven't earned a doctorate degree, what the fuck are you doing calling yourself a doctor? You're a physician, not a doctor. But yeah, a doctor just originally means a learned person. So, but I think that fits in more with like, only if you have a doctoral degree should you be called a doctor. But I guess so every physician and every nurse is a doctor because they just know things. But also like, yeah, if I expand the definition of engineer just to be like a person who uses their ingenuity to solve problems, and it's like, is a teacher an engineer because they have to use their creative ingenuity to solve problems in the classroom, like managing the children's hyperactivity? I don't know. I'm going to just run to the bathroom really fast and be back momentarily. Okay, I'm back. I hope that nothing has gone amiss since I left. Mina is holding down the fort. Her butt is very clean, just so you know. I mean, I don't actually know. She's just licking her back right now. Her back is very clean, I'll have you know. A social engineer, true, yeah. Computer engineering has a PE, but software does not. Okay, so computer engineering in the sense of like, I am assuming like a person who has to do with the mechanical aspects of computers, like the hardware aspect. Getting a PE is necessary for certain uses like drawing up plans for legal approval. Yeah, right. Like, so you can, I know I've like read this a little bit that you could work on engineering projects and be like what I would view as like an apprentice under like a professional engineer who can sign off on your work, and they have the legal liability for whether shit goes wrong, and they have the final say of like what plans get pushed through. So it would be basically like when I was an apprentice, or even some of the journeymen around me, like they were relying on our master electrician to have like the final sign off on our installations. I see PE and I think physical education. True, me too. Computer engineering is the design and building of boards, chips, computing systems. Yeah, like the hardware of it all. Cool. I'm fine with MDs being doctors, even if the D is for degree and not doctorate. Does it stand for D? So long as no one gets mad at me when I use doctor for myself when my diploma literally says doctor. True. Also follow the airplane rule of thumb that if someone asks for a doctor, they probably don't mean someone with a PhD in a subject. Yamez says that software engineers should have a professional engineering qualification, but in my experience, they do not. I feel like there should be something more of a Hippocratic oath for engineers, too. The culture behind software is pretty dire right now with regards to the move fast and break things personality. Yeah. I was always told the PE designation really only matters for civil/structural. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a safety thing, right? But it's any safety systems. So, like, electrical installations, yeah, like bridges and stuff. That makes sense. And, like, if the parts could light on fire or something, so maybe the computer engineering aspect makes sense to have a PE because it's like these parts have voltages in them and they could combust or melt or misfire or whatever. I really want to show this kitty to you, but I can't because we haven't reached our donation goal, and I don't think we're going to because we don't have very long left. I have to produce the After Dark show later. Really what I want to do is I just want to pick her up and hold her, but she's been feeling spicy today, so she might not appreciate that. Mina. She's licking herself. She didn't even look at me. She does know her name. She's pretty close to knowing her name anyway. I also do want to start learning some electronics things. I told you guys before that I'm like, ugh, I don't care about control circuits, but I probably should care about control circuits because that could potentially be a whole thing. I don't really want to, but it could be an entire type of work that I could do versus not, and it could make a shit ton of money, so I don't know. But I do want to at least learn how to solder and do some kind of things that are smaller scale automation or electronics. So my partner suggested that I should get a soldering kit to learn how to solder. And I'm thinking about buying the kit that was like it was like a Bluetooth speaker. Because my partner was like, you should get something that you'll actually use on a regular basis, or at least that you'll look at and interact with. And I'm like, that makes perfect sense to me. So you get the reinforcement of like, look at this cool thing that I made. In my car, I really probably should have this fixed soon because otherwise I'm like if I try to sell my car and it doesn't have working speakers, one side stopped working and then the other side stopped working. So it's something in the wiring. And yeah, but so for now, driving, a couple hours to Seattle kind of sucks. So I could use a like Bluetooth speaker in my car. Could be useful. I'm sure welding engineers would require having a PE. Welding is, I don't know if there's an engineer that signs off on welding. Maybe. I'd have to ask my friend. I have a friend who's worked as a welder. He basically got to the, what's equivalent to like a master welder. But I don't know. And he's also worked in safety after that point. So I don't know if I bet that it's like it's like whoever signed off on the plans is the professional engineer, and then I don't know if there's an engineer who's present who signs off on the work being done, because that might be something different. Like my friend was like, yeah, being like I don't get to be a master welder in the way that you could be like a master electrician. It doesn't work the same. So I'm not really sure how that works. I need to ask. Welding has certified inspectors, which is more like quality control. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. There are welding engineers. It's generally a subset of metallurgical engineering. Okay, but is that like people who draw schematics and like do the math and like have the instructions for what tolerances you then go and build the thing for? Or is there a welding engineer like present at the place that welds together the airplane parts? I don't know. The culture in programming isn't as bad as I think it seems to the layperson. The problem with programming is typically the executive element to it. Most software engineers are far more careful and ethical, but the executives value results and cost mitigation. That's fair. That's fair. As a somewhat older voice and perspective in software engineering, I would quite like a PE standard. Working with folks that call themselves engineers that have zero skills in approaching problems and dissecting them is infuriating. Okay, no, that's fair. Yeah, that like a huge part of what we're doing as engineers is how we think through problems and solve problems. So this is what I always heard about the math classes in school, where they were like, it's about teaching you a way of thinking. It's not really about whether you memorize all of this math or whether you ever use the Pythagorean theorem. It's about teaching you how to think. If you think your bank is working off up-to-date systems, please rethink that. Most systems were developed in the 80s and have been patchwork updated since. Ask me how I know. That's very funny. Fit check. Oh, Emily's calling for a fit check. Oh, let's see. I'm going to scroll my chair back. My little funky cross-legged chair. Okay, fit check. I don't actually really love this outfit today, but we're doing what we can, Okay, so first of all, peep the basketball shorts. We're keeping it comfy. We're keeping it cozy in here. We've got a tank top. Tank top. I'm wearing a sports bra. Very stylish. It's not frumpy at all. Definitely not frumpy at all. And a duster. Got a little duster. It's nice. Keeping things casual. What did I do? Did I move stuff? You're a pretty girl. You're okay. No, my chair's all sideways. Ugh, there we go. Oh, where did chat go? Oh, chat hasn't updated in a second. Okay, hold on. Breadboards would be useful for practicing with, and also are likely to be used if you take Physics 2 or a class in circuits in general. Yeah, my partner has a breadboard and stuff, but he was basically like, I think that you would do better with a soldering kit to start with. And I'm like, okay, you've done a lot more of this stuff. Bye. Bye, kitty. I love you so much. Even though I'm only your second favorite person. Oh yeah, it's a little bit past the time that I would normally feed her, so I might end slightly early and then feed her. It's wet food time. She gets wet food once a day, and it's right about now. My guitar taught me the basics of soldering, but I would cry if someone actually looked at the work I've done. That's very funny. Yeah, my partner is kind of similar. Like, my partner learned how to solder by making a Frankensteinian N64 portable, like an N64 that you could hold, like a handheld portable with a screen and everything. And like, anyway, he had to like move the place where the game slots in to somewhere else, which required soldering a new like ribbon cable in or something like that with like 40 plus connectors. Can I see kitty? No. The goal of the stream's financial goal today was to see the kitty, and we're not going to see the kitty. We've only gotten $27 in direct donations today. You know? We were going to... I originally set it to $2.50, and I brought it down to $1.50. I don't think we're seeing the kitty cat today. If y'all have $1 on patreon.com/Luxander, y'all can go see the kitty there, but... Mina! Hi. Hi, pretty girl. How's my angel? My angel who's never committed a single crime. She's a sweet girl. It is a comfy day. Yeah. I feel like I should dress up more for stream, and I feel like I should put more investment in my appearance, but then that just raises the barriers on like making it even more of a slog to go to work. You know, it's like there's even more stuff. I got to do even more stuff. I've done a bit of stuff like soldering to mod my Game Boy Advance and replacing a controller thumbstick with my kit. Not particularly fun. You don't have a good kit? Yeah. I probably could get a more high-quality soldering iron than the one that I plan to use, but I basically plan to use my kind of shitty pyrography pen to do solder, because it has a soldering tip. Have you ever had a dog? Not really for any appreciable amount of time. We did, like, kind of take care of... Well, like, I lived with my mother-in-law who had dogs for, like, most of that year that she had dogs. But then she moved. So I lived with dogs, but I didn't really have a dog in that sense. I just lived with someone else's dogs. And then we did technically have a dog, but I don't think we even had her for like a year. It was like, Mom has too many dogs, so we will keep one and take care of it. And then we ended up giving that dog away to someone else that we knew because we weren't able to take care of her. This was all when we were very, very young, by the way. Like, I was around like 18 when all of this, or less, maybe less than 18. So no, I've never really had a dog. Maybe someday. I'm open to it. I think dogs would enable me to go hiking by myself without worrying as much about having to shoot someone. But it's a lot of, I'm renting and I don't have a huge yard. Yeah, I'm not in a good space to have a dog right now. Lux, would you be opposed to receiving a detailed feedback doc for your content approach? Like basically an analysis of your content and where you could improve it. I mean, where, does that kind of thing just focus on the YouTube? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, realizing that I'm trying to transition away from it, I don't know that matters a lot to me right now. For all those thinking about taking up soldering, make sure you do it in a well-ventilated area. Toxicity will cause you problems later on in life if you don't take it seriously when you start out. Fair enough. It would be holistic. Like, it would include my Instagram platform. Like, how could I be strategizing better on my Instagram? Because that's one of the things that I've been like, I should do that, and then I don't do it at all. Mina, why are your ears back? Why do you seem so annoyed? Oh, it's because you're hungry. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm the worst. I'm late. Have to get unfrumpy and go into the office several times this week to interview new engineers. Can't do online interviews anymore due to LLM weirdos now. Wait, what? Why? That's crazy. Wait, what? I'm fully expecting, like, as I go into engineering type stuff, or if I end up doing that, like, again, we're still in the process where we're trying to see if I can afford to go to college, or like how much money would be reasonable to spend each term if I'm going to college. Like, my partner and I need to hash out, like, I need to figure out, right, like, if I don't get any financial aid, which I might not, then is it worth paying the full cost to get a better paying job in 4 years, you know? So, but if I did get into it, then I'm like, part of the appeal of being an engineer is that you can work remotely. Like, that I won't even be limited to companies in Oregon, because I could work full remote for someone somewhere else. Hi, pretty girl. I know, sweetheart. I know, I can hardly resist those beautiful little eyes. People will full-on stall after receiving a question in online interviews to get an LLM response to answer for them, as they then flit their eyes to a second screen. Oh, well, I just feel like, end the interview when that happens, right? I'm not gonna that's fucking stupid. Let me type this in. That's crazy. Because then that person used LLMs to get through college, There's no fucking way. You're such a perfect little angel. I love you dearly. She's so wonderful. Well, I do think I'll wrap it up a little bit early today so that I can feed her, and I need to do something interesting between now and Wednesday so that I actually have something to talk about. We need to have something. But it's like coffee beans. If you're just doing this for fun, then I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be like, oh no, how dare you give me this data? I'm curious, how you would generate it and what is meant by better. Like, how, what do you mean, or not better, but where you could improve it? What is the aggregate of information that you're going to pull together that says what does improvement mean for whatever evaluation that you would be applying? So I'm really interested in the concept of being here's an independent review of your content. But not if it requires feeding all of my content to an LLM. Don't do that. Interviewing engineers is costing so much time and effort right now that just setting up the interviews is removing time from a team that is already down 3 engineers. I'm solo right now. Fuck. Well, okay, so that tells me that maybe your company sucks, because why are you down 3 engineers? But it also tells me that there's plenty of jobs in engineering. Sometimes the LLM is the interviewer, and then true despair. No. That's so sad. Okay, well, I'm going to go feed this beast, and plan to see you all. What's the schedule for this week? Wednesday, I'm streaming. Thursday, I'm on Calling It Now with Jimmy, and those two will be my primary birthday celebration time. And then I'm taking off the weekend. and will not be streaming on Sunday. So yeah, that's kind of the schedule this week. So I plan to see you all on Wednesday. Yeah. I guess I will have exciting news to share because I'm meeting with an advisor at the college between now and then. So I will probably have more college related updates potentially. So, okay. Bye.